uh, well, I have vanity, but I've decided that I can't really have too much vanity about these YouTube videos or I'll never make them, so it's all real. Let's see. What is this video about? I mean, I know what, I probably just can't even figure out, like, what positive thing it should be about. So, let's just start with, I love my job, and then here's what happens. And it's so ridiculous to even say it, but I've tried to think about it a little more seriously, which is, that I love my job, and it doesn't stress me out, much. And then, but what stresses me out then is I get on Facebook, which is so, oh, it's shameful to even say. It's just stupid. It's stupid that this happens. But here's how I've gotten over the fact that it's stupid and ridiculous, and I hear about people getting in Facebook fights, and I'm like, because frankly, I just defriend people who, like, get all mean, or, you know, if I'm in a public kind of forum, one great thing about Facebook is that you're in a public forum and you read just some asshat says something, and you can just block that asshat because you don't know him anyway. So, but the stupid comment goes away, and then you never run into at least that asshat again, right? Okay, so, but where it gets into trouble and how this is kind of connected to keto, be quiet, Lulu, which is, that's the cat, which is, you know, kind of what I'm vlogging about mostly, is I know better than to ever be quiet and to ever talk about my diet on Facebook. But sometimes, and I manage to, like, mostly keep out the diet, but you still talk about food, right? So, or I talked about food because, on Monday, I posted this rant, which was supposed to be kind of funny, but was also really serious, about how I just hate it that I don't post about my diet that is going well. I told my Facebook followers, because I hate the well-meaning advice. I hate it. Mostly because if you're looking into keto, or you've tried keto, or you've asked about keto, you will inevitably hear, somewhere, either on the internet or from friends or family, if you talk to them, that keto is dangerous and blah, 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 blah. And also, and this part is true, it contradicts a lot of medical advice that's been around for a long time. But then, so did, like, some of the last food, you know, is it USDA? FDA? I don't know. Whoever the people are that make the food pyramid or the food squares or whatever they are, you know, medical information changes all the damn time. I mean, you know, vaccines that are available change, cures come along, things once back in the day, which I think the day was the early 90s, was told that I had a virus and that it would always be part of me. And then I mentioned something about that to a doctor not all that long ago. I was getting a new doctor, and I mentioned this, and they're like, oh no, I mean, they said, well, you would have been told that, but it turns out that this is not true, and it turns out that I had not had this virus in my system, like dormant or whatever. I hadn't had it for decades, maybe, like a couple decades. So information changes. Anyway, the point is, people you love, especially, will try to deter you from the keto diet, which is fine. You have to make your own choices, and you have to make your own choices with regards to your friends and family. But today, it just bugged me, and I can think about it seriously now a little bit, because, I mean, it feels so stupid to say a fight on Facebook or a thing on Facebook. It wasn't even a fight, but I've realized that, of course, like, Facebook things are going to come up, because Facebook's just the medium. It's not really about Facebook. It's about how one or more people communicate. Always more than one, because otherwise there's no communication. But anyway, It's about people communicating. And it doesn't really matter where it is. It just happens that Facebook is the vehicle, right? So Monday, what happens is I announce, this is big news, because I don't cook, really. There are a few things I put together, I don't cook. But I announce that I'm going to cook my first steak. This was yesterday. I was going to cook it on Wednesday. Monday I announced it. But I went on this kind of funny but serious rant about how I hate the well-meaning advice, and I rarely post about my diet because somebody always gives me advice even though I don't ask for it. Nothing. And so all I wanted from the people, and of course people have minds of their own, so fine. But all I wanted from the people was to know whether I needed to get kosher salt, because I had regular salt. I thought. It turns out, just to skip to the spoiler alert, that I had some sea salt crystals, which were thicker, bigger. They worked perfectly fine. But it was through people who listened who asked me what kind of salt I had, and then I went and explored a little more carefully, and I found, this other salt. So that worked great. But I begged people, basically, and chastised them as well, not to give me advice, right? So naturally, I got a little piece of advice on how long to take it out of the refrigerator before cooking it, which I already knew, and when to or not to salt it, which I already knew. I joked that I didn't want advice about the food because I'd watched YouTube. I had YouTube videos, and I didn't need that feedback. So anyway, then at least those people sort of joked about it, about how they were giving advice, and then they said they were not going to give any more, even though they had great tips. But I told them I was thankful that they didn't give any more, and that was okay. And then somebody else said, try to get went back to the salt and said, try to get some that's iodine free, and you don't want more of that in your diet, i.e. advice. Well, if you look into keto a bit more, we actually need more salt, and we need iodine, and many of us, I never salted my food before getting on keto. I salt my food now because we need more salt, because we are drinking a lot of water, and because without carbs, anyway, we need salt, right? So be quiet, Lulu. But the keto diet goes against a lot of long-term medical advice, which, like eating low fat and is good for you, or salt is bad for your heart or whatever, and red meat is your cholesterol, or I don't know, all the things that they tell you. And so then keto is high fat, it's high salt, there can be a lot of red meat. Red meat is great because it has fat. Did I mention that there's high fat? There's high fat. We want butter, not only butter, but salted butter. I mean, all the things that you're told you should have in moderation, or that raise your cholesterol or your blood pressure, or all these things. Many people who are succeeding with weight loss on keto and fat loss on keto, and lowering their cholesterol on keto, and lowering their blood pressure on keto, and all the other things, are testament to the fact that we're still figuring that stuff out. But you can't, I know the people care, and I know it's well-meaning, but it just drives me crazy. Now, it wasn't so bad on Monday. I joked back with the person who gave me the iodine advice, and said, I actually need more salt and more iodine in my diet, and that's one of the reasons I asked for no advice. By the way, my diet, the keto, all the high fat, salt, all the things are approved from my doctor, who regularly monitors with lab tests, and all the things are going in all the right directions. Some things you want up or down or whatever, and they're all doing what they're supposed to do. So then I made the steak on Wednesday. It was so amazing. My first steak I'd ever cooked, ever. I followed Gordon Ramsay. He's got 2 videos, which are actually a little bit contradictory, but it didn't matter, and I made the right choice, and it was a perfect medium rare. It was, oh, man, that was a great ribeye. I just got back from Costco where I bought 8 ribeyes. I brought over $100 worth happened between the 8 ribeyes. And if you're doing the math, you might think, well, that's a little high. And I don't know if it is or not, but half I bought choice and half I bought prime, which is like, I guess, the best you can buy in the around. Usually it's sold to restaurants, but I bought it because I wanted to see what that was all about. But it's fatty kind of meat, which is why I went for it. So anyway, please don't give me advice on steak. So I made this post afterward about how I wondered why people didn't eat it every day, and it had only been like 48 hours since the rant. Now, admittedly, maybe other people missed the rant. The people who maybe private messaged me missed the rant about how I hate advice, even well-meaning stuff, the be careful of, or da-da-da advice, but then I got advice, and it doesn't matter. I can just ignore it. It's not that big a deal. It's not so much the advice, because I know that's well-meaning. I know that they give it because they care. Although often it's the same people who never just cheer you on for making a good steak. Instead, there's a cautionary tale. So, it's like a positive Debbie Downer. Especially when it comes from the same people all the time, you start to dread seeing that you got a message from them, even though they're your friends, and they weren't always like that. I'm thinking of a particular person, obviously. So anyway, it's not about the advice, or I guess just because I made it just so crystal clear that I didn't want advice, and people couldn't, my friends, not just people, not just random the random internet people who I don't know, but no one, it just makes you feel like you don't have a voice, which again, maybe the person or people in question didn't see the rant. The people who made comments after the rant in the same post, they have no excuse, but other people who followed up, with well-meaning advice about, things recommended over the years that we all know anyway. We all know it. The kind of advice smoking can be bad for you. That kind of advice. Was that shocking to anybody just now? That was not shocking. So anyway, just red meat and fat and advice on those things. I'm I'm sorry. My diet is working not just for weight loss, but for all the things that doctors measure to find out how things are going. All of it is working. So I neither need nor want advice. Yeah. But mostly I hate feeling voiceless. I hate feeling like I haven't been heard, or I haven't been heard about my own shit. It's one thing if you see this video and then you make a video about, hey, I saw this video about this chick talking about keto and how great it is, or whatever, and eating fat and things, and that's just not right. Well, then make that video and put it on your place, because then it could even be a reply to me, but at least your words are in your neighborhood about you and your response to me. But this video, for example, is about me and my responses to things. And I'm making it because I want to stop ranting about it. And, but I heard from lots of ketoers that they get this sort of response. But it just kind of bums you out, because no one needs to hear, when things are working for them in so many positive ways, like, skip the cautionary tale unless the thing that is making them happy and working for their health is something that is clearly not actually working for their health, like running in and out of traffic, Russian roulette activities, crack is bad, drinking on the job, if your job is not drinking, which I don't know whose job that it would be, construction work without a helmet, although even that, I mean, duh, right? In which case, just say you're an idiot to the helmetless construction worker in the place where helmets are supposed to be. And, you know, I don't know, give them a ticket, an OSHA ticket, or however that works. But, yeah, I don't need to hear, I don't give a shit about the food, I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't swear, but I don't care about the food pyramid, what doctors, as if that's every doctor, including mine, and it's not, recommends, and whatever. Right now, I'm gonna eat some turkey pot roast. Looks very fatty. First, I've already salted it. I'm gonna add more salt.